You're watching Beyond the Benchtop, a show about food ingredients. Our conversations go far beyond the lab as we dive into topics spanning from food science to market trends and everything in between.
Hello, good morning. My name is Kristi and I am the R&D specialist at St. Charles Trading. So basically my job is to work with the formulations for different types of products based upon what our customer likes, and then we scale it up from a production level. And I have my coworker here today, Brandi. Brandi, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, Kristi. Thank you for having me. My name is Brady Radiguero, and I work as a product manager for St. Charles Trading, and I have for a few years. And I buy some of our commodities like rice and oats.
Yay! Well, thank you very much. I was saying too, I was like, this is probably my favorite topic because I love both products and I know a ridiculous amount of both of them. So this one's going to be pretty easy for me to talk about.
Oh my gosh, especially during wintertime too, with such a comfort food.
Exactly.
I love rice.
Exactly. Okay, so starting off the bat, I think I'm going to ask you some questions. How is the oat market and the rice market kind of done within the COVID times? Have you seen a steady increase, decrease, or just kind of plateau?
There has been a very, very steady increase in rice and oats over COVID. And in fact,
Mm-hmm.
I would think that one of the things we can say across the board in all of the markets is COVID really hit home how important it is to buy things ahead, and protect
Yeah.
yourself because, I mean, we all saw the stores. There was nothing there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think that within this time, a lot of people are cooking at home and they're kind of trying to find, healthy alternatives to stop themselves from snacking all day. And it's definitely like a much more complex carbohydrate. So making it, like a better alternative compared to some other grains or carbohydrates that are not as complex and going to keep you as full. Yeah, I agree. And I think and I think one thing too that makes it, the market doing really well is it's like a very versatile ingredient. I'm sure you see with rice, there's just so many different types. You can do puffed, you can do regular, you can do, rice bran oil that can be a byproduct. You can do rice starch as well as I know within the sustainability of it. One thing that's really great is it's a lot used in the pet food industry. Have you seen that that's been pretty common?
Every dog treat contains rice gel, rice starch, or rice protein because they have the basic proteins and starches in it needed to bind the material. So
Mm-hmm.
you're getting all the nutrients, but you're also getting a binder. So it acts as a thickener in order to thicken up that material and make
Right.
it hard, which they need in the extrusion process, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think, like you said, it's nice that it's kind of with today's age of sustainability and like upcycling, you can really use the byproducts of it. I think that's a really good point there. So thank you for answering that. Another question I have is what would you say are the key applications for both the rice and the oat industry in today's age?
So we're going to see a big trend that way in terms of seeing oats in more things like milk, your non-dairy products, your creamers. And things are going to tend to go that way. Cookies, etc. You're seeing more gluten-free material coming out and more
Mm-hmm.
kosher, non-allergenic material coming out, like all those gluten-free taste bite brownies, right? I mean, I love my brownies, don't get me wrong. And so having rice and oats in there is pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the oat milk, I remember there was this local coffee shop that I went to and they were serving oat milk. And I'm like, what is this product? Obviously, it's non dairy. And then I was like, how creamy can it be? Because I love almond milk, but you definitely notice it's a little bit thinner and
Right.
it's not similar to, regular cow's milk. And one thing I really liked about the oat milk is it really mimics that, but also like better for your stomach. Obviously, I know a lot of people struggle with, being able to metabolize dairy. So I definitely noticed that within today's industry, the oat milk alternatives have been pretty pricey just because they are so high in demand. And
Yes, definitely.
I think that it's kind of at the top of the charts because almond milk was kind of the fad probably 3 4 years ago, and now I would say that's probably the most successful in today's market. What do you think?
I think you are 100% correct, and I think we're going to keep seeing that trend go that way. I think we're going to
Yeah,
continue to see a
definitely.
greater amount of oats in the market and a greater amount of rice in the market, just to switch over from all of the dairy side and the gluten side, etc. That's not going away anytime soon. It's going to keep going steadily in that direction, and I'm kind of excited about it to see all these new things that
Yeah.
come out. Like you said, trying that oat milk probably was weird at first, right? You're like, wait, oat milk?
Yeah, it really was. And it just goes to show you like how creative and innovative different industries are starting to become, especially with kind of people creating more guardrails with their diets.
And it is really cool to see all these creative new processes. Our customers are the same way. They're very creative and different in the things that they make, which is just totally awesome. And it makes a whole new line of material. But rolled oats are definitely going to take an increase. Quick oats are going to take an increase. And
Yeah.
that is something our consumers, I think, definitely need to be made aware of, because once these things start hitting the market, it becomes such an amazing trend, and people get more and more creative and expand on that creativity. It's going to create the shortage of supply, and that's the last thing we want for any of our
Yeah.
consumers.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think, too, one thing is now that consumers are spending a lot more time at home, I think almost the instant oat market might kind of change. I think people would gravitate towards that product a few years ago just based upon time. You know, like in high school, you would have 15 minutes to get ready. And of course, when you're in high school, you're spending most of that on, you know, maybe your hair or something like that. But then you would have a very short time to make your instant oats. And so that was kind of the best just based upon time. Whereas I think now consumers know that, you know, it might taste better if you're using a rolled or a quick oats. And I know that one thing that differs between those different types of oats is the cook time. And I think now people don't really mind that it takes a longer process and might kind of create a better oat as well as a more nutritional product.
And it's more flavorful, right? I mean, look,
Yeah.
we all love our instant materials. We love that quick, get it done so we can get out the door.
Yes.
But there is something to be said about putting a little love in there and a little
I
creativity in
agree, a little
there.
TLC.
You
I
can always
definitely agree. Have you seen a shift in the rice industry and the types of rice that are more commonly being sold? Because, like, one thing I've really noticed is people are really eager to incorporate a cultural component into their dinners and meals. So, have you seen kind of a trend in maybe basmati rice rather than just brown or white rice?
Basmati rice and jasmine, there's definitely an increase there, and people are getting
Hmm.
more curious about not just basmati and jasmine and arborio, but they're
Hmm.
getting a bit more curious about the organic sides of those materials, right?
Yeah.
And so as we move into the summertime where everybody wants to get healthy, I know I do, but I love the rice.
I
Um,
need to.
I totally need to. And it's going into the process of people want to start looking into those options, non-dairy alternative,
Hmm.
organic materials, gluten-free. So you're going to see a lot more organic basmati and organic jasmine out there, which is pretty cool because they're very aromatic rices. And it
Yeah, I
just,
was just about to say that.
yeah, right. When you're cooking it, you can totally smell all of those flavors and aromas. It's
Exactly.
just it's a beautiful aromatic rice.
I definitely think it's a little more kind of upscale too. It adds a little element to your cooking experience. I made basmati rice the other day and I kind of used curry and a bunch of different kind of ingredients that I typically wouldn't use. And I think it's really great that, you know, people are starting to incorporate different global aspects into their meals.
Yes, it is. It is very, very, very cool, and especially with the ways you can blend them now with quinoa, throw the quinoa
Hmm.
in there, and make it very savory and delicious. And then all the added spices really appease the palate, and they give you a very comfortable feeling with being healthy for you
Yeah.
too. It's pretty cool. I love
Yeah,
that you
I
made that
definitely
lasagna the
agree.
other day. I need to be healthy.
It was so good actually. Like I wouldn't normally reach for rice. It's probably not one of my favorite
Oh,
carbohydrates.
what?
I'm more
It
of
is
like
your
an
favorite. You love
oats. I
it.
do. I do. I do. It's growing on me though. It really is. Like I used to be doing minute rice and now I'm finding that I'm over a stovetop.
Yes. But minute rice is great too. I won't say
It
anything bad
is.
about instant rices, because one of the great things
It's
is
convenient.
it is convenient, but instant rice also moved into basmati, jasmine, and arborio too.
You
And
are right. Yeah.
we've got customers that love the instant jasmine because they're making something for a pouch and they know our consumers are, you know, they're busy handling a multitude of things
Right.
and need it right there. Then of course you've got the food and retail service side, and now they can actually heat it,
Mm-hmm.
prep it, have it ready to go underneath a light, everything's good, and they can still have that aromatic flavor. So I think one of the cool
Yeah.
things is both sides of the board on stovetop cooking at home, they're going organic and more to the aromatic side. And then you've got the quick and food and retail service side and creativity side that's also going instant and still staying aromatic. So that's pretty cool. So
Yeah,
don't
that is
worry.
cool. Have you seen
If you
Don't
run out of
worry.
time, you can still do it. You can still do basmati.
You can do whatever you want. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Certain industries within the food industry are doing better. Like I'm sure rice and oats are doing great because they're, like you were saying, when you go to the grocery store, a lot of those products that are more shelf stable as well as kind of have a longer shelf life are doing really well just because consumers want to make sure that no matter what they're going to have, those canned foods, those rices, those starches that are going to last longer in their pantry.
We have an amazing customer who I don't even know how to explain this, but I'm not going to get emotional. I'm going to totally contain myself. But who was making meals for senior citizens who couldn't leave their home. So, I mean, it wasn't just the fact that they couldn't leave their home to get to the grocery store during certain times, right? When there were sensitive
Mm-hmm.
times for them to be open. They couldn't even go to pick up material at a drive-through portion. So they had to have
Wow.
meals delivered to them, right? We had a customer who was making sure that they had the rice, the oats, everything they needed in that meal kit so that way they could survive COVID when it was such a scary time to
Mm-hmm.
have food.
Definitely. And I think it's nice too that they're kind of having products that have, a stronger nutritional profile rather than just sending, a bag of chips. They're sending something that's going to keep them, that's more satiating, that's, has different micronutrients, that's going to keep them full and focused and just feeling overall better.
Yes, exactly. See, you understand me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's really great to see people, not only being able to take advantage of more nutrition options, but also being able to openly choose rice and oats just by themselves as well is
Yeah.
great to see.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
I
Have you
have
seen any
a
price
question.
trend? I know, I am too. Have you seen any price trends within the oats and rice industry change because of, like we were saying, there's definitely been an increase in demand?
Yeah, unfortunately, one of the things that's hard, especially for rice last year, it was just a massive trifecta, right? The crop
Hmm.
from the year before just did not do well. We had all of the heavy rains. We all saw it. We all saw it just downpour. The rice fields took the brunt of it. So there was
Hmm.
already a shortage in crop. And then on top of it, we had COVID happen where all the material was just being bought off the shelves, bought out from the suppliers, bought out from the growers. And it came to a point that there just wasn't material left. And so everything that they were
Yeah.
having to bring in and produce just kept getting to a higher cost in order to get it. That was really hard. So we're coming back from that, but we're
That's
still on the
good.
high demand side, which
Yeah.
it's going to be a little touch and go. Oats too. Oats from Canada, they're seeing a dramatic increase in supply and demand.
Hmm.
So one of the hardest things for them over there is making sure everybody's needs are met, and they have to
Sure.
compete against like wheat, barley, and oil seeds, which already have the
Yeah.
fields. So they have to pay more in order to make sure they get planted acreage.
Hmm.
So as we see it go into next year, it'll be really interesting to see if they got the extra planted acreage because oats are just seeing an increase in price, and we're going to keep seeing it throughout the
Yeah.
end of the year.
Yeah, I think, one thing that is at least nice about the oat industry is it's a little less sensitive to climate. It can kind of really flourish within colder climates. So there's a lot more cold areas right now than warm. So I think that
Right.
at least, even though you're seeing that price spike, there's advantages to the climate that it can still grow in.
Absolutely. And then, of course, you go through the whole gambit of things when you get bad weather. You
Hmm.
get the risk of losing crops to too much moisture, losing crop to
Yeah,
mildew, etc., losing crop to infestations.
right.
And that's the last thing that you want. But one of the hide sides, like you said, is
Exactly.
oats doesn't really have that problem. Oats' biggest problem is
Hmm.
basically just competing for acreage because you've got the oil seed, you've got the wheat, you've
Yes.
got the barley, you've got all of the material going into feed. So they do have to kind of compete for acreage for planting, but they don't have
Yeah.
nearly the amount of problems that you see on the other side with weather. So that's kind of nice
Yeah,
that it's
you're
a very
right.
material. Oh no,
Yeah, I
you're right.
definitely
You're
agree with.
totally, you're totally on about those being good weather-wise.
I know. It's just really sensitive, which just makes everything much more difficult because globally it is such a popular ingredient. It doesn't matter what region you're from, people are always going to eat rice and people are always going to eat oats.
Yes, and not a lot of people don't expect that rice is predominantly grown in the United States in areas like Texas and
Yeah, it
Arkansas.
is.
Arkansas
Mhm.
is
And a
huge
little
for rice, right?
I know. I know. It was a little random when I was doing my research, but I mean honestly, it's good to hear that just globally a lot of different regions are growing and developing these products.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And rice flour, the biggest place you're going to find it is in
Mhm.
Arkansas. A lot of our main partners and some of the amazing farmers come from Arkansas. I've had the very fortunate ability to meet some amazing farmers down there who are doing new and inventive ways to actually make a larger crop while being better for the environment, doing different drainage
Yeah.
techniques, and they're learning new ways to do these things. So they're trying to make it more sustainable for the environment and the soil, even though rice is
Mhm.
already a very sustainable crop. They're trying to do it even better to limit the usage of
Yeah.
water. At the same time, make it better for the soil because rice requires a lot of water. And one of the downsides can be
Yeah.
is obviously using too much. So they're looking at
Exactly.
creative ways of growing it, which is very cool too.
Awesome. Last question I have is where do you want to see the shift in the oat and rice industry within the food industry? So, do you want to see a shift in maybe the snack or maybe a little bit of growth in the health and wellness?
They're really nailing health and wellness. And I think
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that a shift we could see, which would be really cool, is there you see it in certain industries and fast food chains and on the retail side, like Taco Bell, right? Places that have rice. And then, of course,
Hmm.
a couple of other places that happen to make chili because oats are amazing in chili.
It is,
And
yeah.
and maybe some oat cookies. I think what would be really amazing is like Starbucks picks up the oat milk. I think seeing
Mm-hmm.
more of the fast food side grab a hold of some of these healthier options would be really cool. You got Chipotle that does an amazing job.
Yeah,
But I think it would be really cool to see those healthy options not just available in the restaurants and our
I
bakers,
agree.
and and all of the amazing manufacturers. But if they pick it up too, it will be a really great thing because then it's just spreading that health and wellness through everybody, even if it's just a quick on the go kind of meal.
Right. And as well as it's, really nice and cost effective for people that typically wouldn't be able to reach and pay for that healthy food.
Yes, yes, exactly. See, you read my mind, Kristi. I love it.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I had an awesome time. I learned a
Thank
lot
you
from you.
for
I
having
hope that
me.
I helped you learn as well. But, I think that this was a really great opportunity for both of us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun. I'll gladly do it again anytime. Maybe
Yeah. maybe next Monday.
as long as you're not having me make mango rice pudding, I think we're good. That would be an
We're
explosive.
sold.
Yeah, yeah. Let's. I'll stick to my lane on that one. I'll watch you make it.
You'll stick to the purchasing side of it. Well, thank you so much, Brandi. You have a wonderful day, and thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it.
Bye. Thank you, Kristi.
Thanks for watching Beyond the Benchtop. Join us in the next episode to hear a salesperson's perspective.